Now, is your vehicle doing something like this? No difference in blower speeds, nothing. Let's take a look. Now, getting access to both the blower motor and the resistor tends to be quite simple. Typically, you'll find them underneath the dash. Now, I'll also remove this glove cover so you can see precisely what you're looking for. And now we have clear access to both the blower motor and the resistor. So, from underneath, the blower motor is held on by 3 fasteners. There's one in the back, and right over here is the resistor. There's a tab. You press down on the tab. Don't pull from the wires. There we go. Same on the blower motor. Pressing the tab, pull down, and there we go. A lot of times you can tackle this at home. Some vehicles can be pretty difficult, but if your car is not ultra modern, which it probably isn't if you're watching this, you can typically do this in your driveway. Have it done within an hour or so. Alright, that's the last one. You should drop down. There is the blower motor. Now the screws holding on the transistor, as you can see, not a lot of room. You can use a 90-degree adapter. Actually, I do have one. I'll show you what that looks like in a moment in case your vehicle is really tight, but in this case I can actually get access to them with this little stubby. Okay. There we go. Okay. Now this is pretty self-explanatory. If you're looking at the blower motor, typically when you try to turn on any of the heating or air conditioning vent functions, nothing happens at any speed on the knob. Just nothing is turning on. Regarding the resistor, typically you may have one speed working, maybe 2 speeds, and the other speeds don't work. So always a good idea just to test both of them. In fact, look at this one, a little rusty in the back. This is an 07 FJ. Now testing the blower motor is easy enough. You have 2 prongs. This is where the electrical connector plugs into the blower motor, and we're simply going to provide power to the motor, and this should spin. Now you want a 12-volt battery source. I happen to have one of these batteries here. Even if you have an older cordless tool, typically they work 12 volts. Now you find 20, 24, and so forth, but if you have an older one, you'll find a positive and a negative, and you just take the positive to the positive, negative to the negative. Now in this case, the positive is that left terminal, so let's hook everything up. So we have a lead running from the positive terminal of the battery, going directly to our left terminal on the blower motor. Now be careful when you do this, because this may kick on you, okay? So just be careful, and here we go. Make sure you guys can see this. Okay, here we go. As you can see, it's a working blower motor. This is what you want to see. Very, very easy to test. Now you also want to make sure it's a nice, smooth movement. You see how nice this spins? It's not hanging up. It's not catching on anything. That's precisely what you want to see. Now testing the resistor is very easy, just a little bit different compared to the blower motor because you don't need a battery source. So we have a multimeter. If you don't happen to have one of these, roughly 25 bucks. I will link this one in the description box below. Now look at the resistor. You have 4 terminals, but the terminal on the upper right hand side is a goldish color. Almost looks like it's brass. So let's call this terminal number 1. This will be our main terminal. So all that you're doing with the multimeter, you're touching terminals 1 to terminal 2. See if you have a reading. Terminal 1 with 3. See if you have a reading. And then 1 with 4. Okay, so if this is a little confusing, simply plug in the leads to the multimeter, and you want the omega symbol. That is for ohms. Okay, so we're doing an ohms test. Now every vehicle is different regarding the specifications, but the whole point here, you want to see a reading. So on this Toyota, terminals 1 and 4, roughly 1.7, where's the other one here, 1.7 to 2 ohms. So let's see what happens, and let's take a look. So 1.9 to 2 ohms, that is perfect. Now let's try terminals 1 with 3. This should be roughly 0.3 ohms. Right on the money. And then lastly, we should see roughly 0.8 to 1 ohms on number 1 and number 2. Okay, so here we go. And look at that. This really needs to be replaced. It really needs to be replaced because I should see a reading here. And in fact, take a look at the back of this resistor. You can see how the rust has just eaten away. Yep, see how that's not connected? So, certainly need a new resistor here, but again, easy enough to test. So, if you're seeing something like this, transistor, easy enough to replace. Anything else, check out the blower motor. And as always, I hope this is helpful. Thank you for watching.